Okay, let's go ahead and get started there, folks. If, of course, the Pega screen will load itself. Hold on a second, let me... Oh, wait, let's... There we go. That was weird. Was having a little bit of a problem trying to load in there. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST YouTube stream. I'm your host, Strange Bear Jim, and today we're going to go ahead and get back into some Pega learning, learning about the Pega certification. We have some more videos to upload later on today, and then of course we're going to be going into our troubleshooting Warframe in just a little bit as well. So, matter of fact, I should probably see about trying to get that launcher up and running because most likely I'm going to be needing to do some updates on it in the background. So, let that work. All right. So for those of you that are here for Pega, wait, that was actually very quick. Okay, I was expecting a lot more updates, but all right, well, I guess I downloaded it fairly fast, which is kind of odd. Either there wasn't really much to download or something. I don't know. Oh yeah, sorry, a little bit of sidetrack there. For those of you that are wondering about me and what we're doing here for this portion of the stream for Pega, we are working towards our certification for the system architect for for the Pega development environment. So, hold on a second. I gotta blow my nose. Hold on. All right, better. All right, um, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm working towards my certification for the system architect. Um, these videos are meant to try to keep me on track on getting there. Um, learning all the topics, learning all the challenges, and learning everything that I can in between to get to a point where I can pass the certification, hopefully with flying colors, without too many difficulties. Now, um, one thing that I want, well, there's a couple things that I want you to know. First off, I'm not an authorized training partner, and this is not an instructor-led training. Okay. I don't know everything that there is to know about Pega, so I can't. You shouldn't consider me as either one of these two because one would hope that a Pega instructor or Pega authorized training partner would know everything there is to know about what Pega is and can teach you everything that you need to know so that you can also pass the certification with flying colors. Um, but when I was trained, we had an authorized training partner, and that particular partner, we had questions, and he wasn't able to answer them all the time or ever. Um, and he brought in someone else to train us at one particular point in time, and he would criticize our computers if we try to run Pega, on our main, on our computers. And Pega is huge there, folks. Okay, it's meant to be run on servers. Trying to run them on your desktop, it can be really difficult. Okay, unless you have like a beast of a computer, then you might be able to, maybe. But even then, there's a lot that goes into Pega, and there isn't anything, you can't like pick and choose as to what to really download when you're downloading Pega. It comes with everything. So, um, which is, I feel like one of the downsides um, of when you're trying to get the, um, when you're trying to do the Pega on your own personal desktop. It doesn't give you the choice to, say, hey, I don't want the admin studio. I don't want um, the AI portion of the studio. You can't remove features when you download it. So it is what it is. Um, so a good majority of my peers and myself decided to do self-study instead of listening to the authorized training partner. Um, and I couldn't get past my certification when they forced me to take it. But then again, I wasn't ready for it. I knew I wasn't ready for it, but I had to take it in order to continue with the job. So, um, and we asked to go back through the training cycle with another training partner, but that didn't happen. So, uh, in some cases, we pretty much kind of begged them, hey, send us back into the Pega learning, or send us back into Pega training with a different trainer because that didn't work for us. Um, Even guys' coworkers knew, the troubles that we were having with him, and they saw firsthand why we were having problems with him. But never happened. So here I am. Never took the time myself to continue trying to push myself to get to the certification. So I'm doing it now. Um, I, I asked for help as well. Don't think that I didn't try to, um, you know, basically I was looking for mentors along the way to kind of help me get to that certification, but um, the the problem is that you'd want to have someone want to be a mentor to you. Okay, you can't necessarily force them. Um, so either they would want to be a mentor, or they would have to be, pretty much like forced to be a mentor. Um, Personally, if you're in a company, I would recommend, hey, you need to have at least one person that is like a dedicated mentor to help out new hires, no matter what. Okay. Um, I remember way back in the day, like when I first started, like fast food, right? They actually had, for example, at McDonald's, they had back then in the day a dedicated like um, position named trainer. Okay, you had the standard worker person that would help out with everything. Clean the bathrooms, clean the lobby, take the orders, hand the food out, so on and so forth, right? Okay. You had the trainers that still did all of that, but they would also train, the new hires on what to do. Okay. They would teach them how to take an order, how to, collect the order, how to sweep, how to mop, all that kind of stuff. They were there to basically say, okay, this is what you need to do. Okay. And that's fantastic. Okay. Um, that's it's really fantastic when you have someone along those lines that can actually do that. Okay. Um, now, granted, they might not be very happy with what they're doing. Okay. Um, but those training jobs were paid slightly more, not much more, but slightly more, and they were there to help out new hires learn the ropes. Okay. That should probably be like for any company, like across the board, in my particular opinion. You should have something like that in every single damn company. Okay. Um, but, you know, that's my opinion, you know. Um, because not everybody's going to know every single last little detail when you get into a new job, you know. You should have someone there help you transition into that new job, learn from it, figure out, what you need to do with it, that kind of thing. Oh, well. Let's move on. Um, Instructor-led training. Like I said, this is not meant to be instructor-led training. Okay, I'm not an instructor. I don't know everything that there is to know about Pega Academy, so don't consider it as such. Um, if you do decide to go with an instructor-led training, first off, there is a fee, there is a money fee to get into those classes. Okay, so I think it's like somewhere around like $5,000 right at this moment in time. Maybe they increased it. I don't know. Last time I looked, it was like around 5,000. Okay, it's not something that I can easily throw towards it, so it's not for me right now. But if anybody can afford that price tag, then you know, get into it. It's a short class. I think it's like 2 weeks long or something like that to learn all of Pega. So it's going to be, filled to the brim of information. Okay, so be prepared for that. Okay, it's not going to be as simple like, oh, we'll do, 1 hour here, 1 hour there, and we'll, learn a little bit along the way. No, it's going to be like probably like 4 hours a day, you know, for those entire 2 weeks, just jam packed of every single little last detail about Pega. One would imagine, right? If it's not, ask questions. Okay, ask them, everything that you can. Ask them about previous versions of Pega. Okay, certification for me not only included 8.6, but it also included Pega 7 style questions. Okay, had keywords from Pega 7 in there. So bear that in mind, okay? The certification exams doesn't really update their questions very often. Um, but at the same time, when you're on the job, you may talk with ladies and gentlemen that you know have older certifications. Okay, they might have certifications for 6 and 7, in the workforce that you're talking to. Okay, they might not know that some keywords have been changed. So just bear that in mind. Okay, it's a good learning experience, to get that kind of those keywords. Know the keyword difference, because when you get to that certification, you may get hit with said keywords. Okay, if there's a keyword that you're not familiar with, learn it, because you're gonna get hit with it most likely on the certification exam. Um, Last but not least, this is not endorsed by Pega whatsoever. They're, you know, I'm doing it on my own free will, doing these kind of study sessions. I'm not getting any kind of like special treatment or special benefit from it whatsoever. Um, I'm not getting any kind of like money or special training or anything along those lines. Okay, so if any of that comes into your mind, remove it. Okay, this is just myself trying to get through the certification. That's it. Okay. Um, I do these videos as well to hopefully have, someone come in and maybe answer some of the questions that I have over time. Okay. I put it up on YouTube. I might have a question from time to time concerning a particular topic, and, I may hope for an answer from someone in the Pega community that's been there for a while. Okay, they may know the answer so that they can, give me the correct answer themselves. But that hasn't always worked out the way I wanted it to. So it is what it is. I'll just keep on moving towards the end goal on this. Now, yeah. So I think that's about it. I keep on seeing these. It's like, yes, I know I have the achievements. Thank you. I don't need to see them anymore. All right. Let's go to the dashboard here. Now, just as a side note, okay, we're complete with the business architect. Okay. If you're watching me right now and you're hoping that we'll cover the business architect, I'm sorry. It's already done. You're gonna have to go back through my playlist and go over these two missions and two modules yourself. Obviously, there's a lot there, but hopefully you'll be able to learn, um, what you can from those videos. If you have any questions yourself, feel free to leave them in the comments, and if it's something that I can answer, then I'll answer it. If it's something that I don't know, then I will do what I can to try to find someone that can answer them. Okay, I might not be able to myself, but that shouldn't stop you from asking questions either. Okay, feel free to ask them. Okay, if you have a question, any kind of question, feel free to ask. Believe me, you know, um, it'll help you, it'll help me, it'll help the Pega community in general. Just feel free to ask. Okay, there's no harm in it. Okay. Also, if you're working towards your business architect certification, I would recommend going through the Pega Express delivery mission, because these two modules cover a little bit of the Pega Express, but not all of it. Okay, this module and this mission here has more modules on the topic of Pega Express, and I feel that that would probably give you a lot more information about it. I personally haven't covered it because I'm debating whether or not I want to actually try to go for the Pega Express certification. My main interest is getting the system architect, and that's it. That's where my interests lie. That's where my focus is going to be. So that's what I want to do. Um, Business architect certification isn't going to be something that I'm very interested in. So I'm not really gonna be worried about it myself too much. Um, so I'm gonna be kind of focused more on the system architect, and then we may go on to the senior system architect after that. Um, so yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the system architect mission here. We got 26 modules and 23 challenges going to get through. Well, 25 topic modules. Uh, okay. Um, if I remember correctly, we went through rule sets last time because I was looking at everything here, and I was like, this is a lot of information in a short amount of time that um, I was not going to be able to cover in 5 minutes. So yeah, that was the last topic that we covered. So we will move on to the next topic of rule creation, which is supposedly another 5 minutes. And well, um, once again, this is not a 5 minute. I don't I don't know what the heck they're smoking, but this is not 5 minutes long. Okay, well, let's get into it. So, rule creation. Automated rule creation. In App Studio, rules are created automatically in the predefined application rules layer when you use the case designer. It is the best practice to work in App Studio so that the rule creation process includes preset defaults. By building your application in App Studio, you minimize issues and errors that are related to rule creation. The following table provides examples how your work in the low-code workspace of App Studio affects rules in the background. When you add a new case type in App Studio, it creates underlying rules available from both App Studio and Dev Studio, such as case type rule and data pages. For example, adding an employee relocation case type extends the TGB HR apps work class to create a new work class. TGB HR apps work employee relocation with rules such as employee relocation data page rule, PY default case type rule, and new location property rule. Now, I don't know if these are like actual defaulted rules that are already part of Pega. They might be. I'm not 100% sure. I would imagine that they will, and that they would. Um, PY default definitely looks like a a common um, rule that, or case type rule that I'm familiar with. I've seen it before. Um, but employee relocation and new location looks like rules that would be kind of generated um, from you trying to make it yourself. You know, like you created the employee relocation case type, and it generates all that for you, kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud here. Not quite sure exactly, what is something that was generated by, what you typed out, or what was generated, just by, Pega, making all the rules for you. Okay. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Um, so yeah. When you add it here, got an itch. Good. Okay. When you add a mobile channel to your application, it creates new roles in Dev Studio. Well, I mean, whenever you create anything in Pega, it will create new rules. But for example, adding a mobile HR channel to an existing HR application creates a new user interface rules in the data portal class mobile HR. So When you add a new process in the App Studio Case Manager, it creates a new flow rule in your Pega application. For example, adding a pricing process in the benefits enrollment case type creates a new flow rule applied to the TGB HR Apps Work Benefits Enrollment class. Pricing flow. Kind of wish that they had a little bit more like a visual representation of it. Like they actually show um, images of like a before and after on this, but I don't know. Obviously, that would take up a lot of space, but it would kind of show like what would happen, what you would see, you know, before and after. So, when you add a new view in App Studio, it creates a section rule in Dev Studio and sets the required class context for you. For example, if you add the employee performance view in App Studio and adds a section rule in Dev Studio that applies to the TCG HR Apps Work Employee Evaluation class, rate employee performance. When you add a new data object using the Data Explorer in App Studio, creates data pages based on the type and source of the data object. For example, if you create a customer data object, it will create 3 data pages records in the data class: the customer receivable, the customer list. Most rules created in Dev Studio are accessible from App Studio, but not all. Some rules require advanced configurations that are available only in Dev Studio. Dev Studio also provides wizards to create underlying rules. As a best practice, work in App Studio to ensure that the correct rule is created or updated. To learn more about rules and explore rules in your application. Rule creation in Dev Studio. If you need more control over how a rule is created and reused, you can create rules in Dev Studio. Dev Studio uses the term records to refer to rules, properties, and other objects in Pega platform. When you create a rule in Dev Studio, new record form prompts you to provide 4 pieces of information. Rule type specifies the function. For example, is the rule for a report definition, field value, data type, or flow action. Rule set specifies the rule set in which to organize the rule to improve the reusability of rules across your applications. Apply to specifies the class that the rule applies to. For example, whether the rule applies to the work integration, data, or another class. Label specifies the name that you want to use. The name helps you find the rule during development and testing. These 4 pieces of information identify the rule as unique within your application. This combination allows an application to call the correct rule during case processing through a process called rule resolution. With rule resolution, Pega Platform determines the appropriate rule to run when the application calls a rule. You can access rules from the Dev Studio navigation menu by clicking Records and selecting a rule type to display a list of rules of that rule type. To learn more about creating rules in Dev Studio, see the article Creating a Rule. In the following image, click the plus icons to learn more about the new record form. Okay, open the new rule. Once you create and open the new rule, the rule definition displays the identified information you entered in the new record form. For example, the facilities flow rule definition displays the rule type, class, CL, identifier, ID, and rule set, RS, in the rule header. You can see that right there. CL, ID, and RS. Class, identifier, rule set. That should be fairly easy for you to remember, but just in case, um, make sure that you are, understanding what the acronyms are there for. But that should be it should be easy enough. If they basically say, hey, you know, on this, on this form here, on the edit flow, tell us what the rule set is. And, if you pick HR apps 111, then it'll be good. That kind of thing, right? So, rule type. The rule type determines the type of behavior modeled by the rule. Each rule type models a specific type of behavior, such as automated decisions or UI design. Identifier. The identifier, or ID, identifies the purpose of the rule. For example, to model the process for approving insurance claims, you use an identifier such as claims approval. This identifier allows you to differentiate the approval process from a submission process. Pega platform determines the identifier from your entry in the label field. Class. The class identifies the scope of the rule. You specify the class of the rule in the apply to field. The class you select determines the extent of how you can use the rule within one case type or across case types. It should say across multiple case types, but whatever. Rule set. The rule set is the container for the rule. The rule set identifies, stores, and manages the set of rules that define an application or a major portion of an application. So, um, for example, this facilities, um, rule that's getting created here is going to be, getting applied to the TGB HR apps work onboarding class, and it contained within the rule set of HR apps. Now, HR apps already has, you know, rules and rule sets already kind of created for it. Okay, hence, right here, HR apps, has work and onboarding, subclasses, right? Um, so you're basically putting facilities into the onboarding subclass, you know. So, but yet still contained within the overall umbrella of HR apps. Okay. Now you could basically say, hey, I want to put it to the rule set for onboarding, and that's how much scope it's going to be. It can't necessarily go anywhere outside of onboarding. Okay. But if you apply it you know, to the full rule set of HR apps, then you might be able to use it beyond just onboarding. You get what I'm saying? So, okay. So, instance key. Pega platform creates a unique instance key stored by using the property PZ-INS key to identify each rule in the system. The instance key generally consists of 4 elements separated by a space. The internal name of the rule type, the applies to class for the rule, the identifier of the rule, and the timestamp from when the rule is created normalized to Greenwich Mean Time. For example, you create a service level at 11:31:52 a.m. Eastern Time on January 20th, 2021 by providing the following information on the new record form. Identifier, stat approval. Apply to field, my app, work, case type. The PZ-INS key for the rule is rule, object, service level, um, which um, yeah, service level. my org, my app, work, case type. Okay, because you're working for the case type there. Standard approval, which is the identifier. 2021 01 20 or January 20th, 2021. Time of 16:31:52.765 GMT. So basically, it's taking this time right here, changing it over to the Greenwich Mean Time, and then, you know, tacking it on the end there. So some rule types extend the instance key with additional elements. For example, correspondence rules include the correspondence type as part of the instance key. The correspondence type differentiates the correspondence rule to generate an email from a correspondence rule to generate a text message, even if the two rules share a name and class. So, so yeah, basically if you have, a different type, it'll still kind of create, it will definitely, create a different instance key for it, you know, because it's, you're, you're having a different, you know, type overall. So, rule creation methods. You can access the new record form in several ways based on how you create a new rule. The manner of rule creation determines the amount of information that is automatically entered. When creating a new rule in Dev Studio, you may have the option to make the rule available to users in App Studio, depending on the rule type. The following table describes some rule creation methods and identifies the information specified on the new record form. Create a rule from the Create menu. The rule type, application context, and rule set are specified by default. Create a rule from the App Explorer. The rule type, application context, rule set, and class are specified by default. So it adds a class to it. Create a rule from a rule reference. The rule type, application context, rule set, and class are specified by default. If the name of the rule is provided in the reference, the label and identifier for the rule are also specified. Okay? So if you have the name, then that's also included. Open an existing rule and click Save As. The rule type, application context, rule set, class, label, and identifier are specified by default. However, at least one of the following pieces of information must change, or Pega Platform returns an error when you click Create and Open. The identifier must be different, class must be different, or rule set must be different. So, creating a rule from the Records Explorer. The application context and rule set are specified by default. When creating a rule from a rule reference, the label is determined from the rule name in the reference field. Consider adding spaces to the label to make the rule definition easier to understand. In the center of the following image, slide the vertical line to compare creating a service level agreement rule from the Create menu and creating a service level agreement rule from the App Explorer. So from the Create menu, you go to Process, you go to Service Level Agreement, and here's your full window of the Service Level Agreement record configuration. You add the label, you add the apply to, rule set, so on and so forth. Or you can go to the class itself from the App Explorer. Go to that class, go to Process, go to Create, go to service level agreement, and you can put in all the information that you want there. Okay, and notice how, the class there, the onboarding is automatically applied over here. Okay, if you didn't, if you use the create option, it's blank because you're not like specifying what it is associated with. So there you go. All right, check your knowledge with the following interaction. Which three things do you need to know before you can create a rule in Dev Studio? Um, you don't need to know what the PZ-INS key is for the rule. You don't need to know that. So the name of the rule that applies to the class of the rule, and the rule type. You don't need to know the Java code. So the rule type helps uniquely identify the rule on the system by locating and naming the function of the rule. For example, an SLA rule performs a different function than a flow rule. The class that applies to the rule helps to uniquely identify the rule on the system by identifying the applicable scope of the rule. Changing the class of the rule allows you to specialize the rule for a specific class or any child classes. The name of the rule helps uniquely identify the rule on the system by naming the intended use for the rule. Use a rule name and helps you associate the rule to the application functionality it references. For example, an SLA named approval codifies the goal and deadline for case approvals. In contrast, a SLA named claim adjustment codifies the goal and deadline for adjuster to estimate the cost of covered damage for an insurance claim. So, all those right there basically generate the PZ INS key. Um, so that's why you don't really need to know that. You know, if you know all this, then you can, then you can find, you know, um, the INS key. But yeah, you don't really need to know that directly. So, and Java code, I mean, you can always like keep on diving down into Pega to see the Java code that is automatically being generated, but be careful with that. Don't mess around with um, don't mess around too much with the structure of Pega. Otherwise, you're going to be you might damage more than um, you might damage the Pega system altogether. Now, if you notice something in Pega, like, hey, whoever designed Pega used a really bad function, or, maybe they coded it in a really crappy way or something like that, then feel free to, you know, contact Pega themselves and say, hey, guys, I found your code at, this particular class at this particular um, spot. You guys are using, you know, uh, you're doing it this way when it should be done that way. You're welcome to do that. Um, Whether or not they actually listen to you is, another question altogether. Um, but I mean, that that shouldn't hurt, right? So, it helps them out. But at the same time, you're helping out a company kind of continue being, profitable and stuff like that. So, it all depends on what your conscience is, you know. So, okay. So, I could try to go on to the next part, rule reuse through inheritance, but as you can see, there's a lot of information again here, which um, this topic looks a little bit less than the previous one. Notice the bar here. The bar here is a little bit larger for this topic than the previous topic. Not by much, but still there. So, one would think, hey, there's a lot more content in this particular page than the next topic. Now, one could say, well, Jim, the other one has a couple more pictures. Well, does it though? And then that's why I don't really trust their time marks. Rule sets has just as much of a bar as the inheritance. Just slightly more. But yeah. Oh well. Okay, but that's gonna be it for Pega for today. We're gonna go ahead and go through the inheritance tomorrow because I don't have enough, I have 5 minutes left, till it hits 3 o'clock. I'm not gonna be able to get through this. So we'll cover all this again tomorrow. So look forward to that. But yeah, that's where we're gonna go ahead and call this Pega session. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got enough information out of it. Again, feel free to leave any kind of comments or questions that you have. Um, either right now in the chat if you want to, because you're going to be talking to me directly. Again, I can't guarantee an answer to it, but I will do what I can if possible. Otherwise, I will see about trying to get people that I've known, from past work to try to step in and help out on said questions. Okay. Or maybe someone in the Pega community can kind of answer those questions as well. Um, I would love, you know, I would love to have, a little bit more interaction in the comment section for these videos concerning, my questions or any other questions that might get asked. Would love to kind of see that. So, um, so yeah. But that's up to everybody. You Um, again, I hope everybody, got what they wanted out of the video. Um, but we're gonna go and close on down. Feel free to do everything that you can to help me out with the YouTube algorithm. That would be fantastic. Share this around to others that, if like others are, trying to work on Pega studies as well. I mean, feel free to share it with them if you want. I don't mind. Um, every little bit helps, I feel. So, um, let's see. I don't think there's really anything more to really kind of cover on this beyond that. Um, feel free to check out the description for additional links, such as my Discord. I also have a Patreon. I also have Throne. If you want to support me in that way, um, obviously that's all volunteer based. So check out my Team Robot for um, streamers and non-streamers alike to join. And that's it. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a document explaining what the team is all about. So hopefully um, that's something that interests you, so that you can apply. But yeah, that's it. That's where we're gonna go ahead and end it. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I catch you next time. Until then, take care. Have a good night. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll catch you strangers next time. And ending the recording.